This isn't a war fought with soldiers. It's fought with taxes, computer chips, and factory lines. To understand how we got here, we have to go back to 2001. In 2001, China joined the World Trade Organization. This was a huge deal for the global economy. The idea was simple. If China traded with the West, it would become more like the West. For a while, it seemed to work. American stores were filled with cheap goods made in China, and China's economy grew faster than anyone thought possible. But this growth came with a cost for American workers. Millions of manufacturing jobs in the U.S. disappeared as factories moved overseas. People started calling it the China shock. It changed the politics of the United States. Then came Donald Trump. He promised to get tough on China and bring jobs back. In 2018, he started a trade war by putting taxes, or tariffs, on Chinese imports. China didn't wait around. They put their own taxes on American goods, like soybeans and cars. The goal was to make Chinese goods more expensive so people would buy American. But it wasn't just about trade. It was about who would lead the future of technology. The U.S. accused China of stealing secrets and forcing companies to share their tech. China denied this. They said they were just investing in their own future. They launched a plan called Made in China 2025 to become a leader in high-tech industries. This worried the U.S. government. They saw it as a threat to national security. When Joe Biden became president, many thought he would end the trade war. But he didn't. In fact, he made the restrictions even tighter, especially on computer chips. Computer chips are the oil of the 21st century. You need them for everything. The U.S. banned the sale of the most advanced chips to China. This was a huge blow to Chinese tech companies like Huawei. China responded by pouring billions of dollars into their own chip factories. They want to be self-sufficient. They don't want to rely on the U.S. anymore. This brings us to a new term, de-risking. The U.S. and Europe want to move their supply chains away from China. They are looking at countries like Vietnam, India, and Mexico to build new factories. But it's not easy to leave China. They have the best infrastructure and the most skilled workers. Now, a new front has opened in this war. Electric vehicles. China is currently the world leader in making electric cars and batteries. Companies like BYD are selling millions of cars at prices that Western companies can't match. The U.S. responded by putting a 100% tariff on Chinese electric cars. They want to protect American car companies like Ford and Tesla. But this makes the transition to green energy more expensive for everyone. It's a trade-off between saving the planet and winning the economic war. So what does this mean for the rest of the world? Many countries feel like they are being forced to choose a side. The U.S. is strengthening its ties with old allies like Japan and the UK. Meanwhile, China is building its own group of partners through the Belt and Road Project. They are also working more closely with Russia and the BRICS nations. Some people call this a new Cold War. But unlike the last Cold War, the two sides are still deeply connected through trade. If the U.S. and China stopped trading completely, the whole world would suffer. Prices for everything from phones to food would go up. So where does this end? There is no easy answer. Both countries believe they are doing what is best for their people. The economic war between China and America will likely continue for decades. It will change how we work, what we buy, and how we live. The world is watching to see who will come out on top. But in this war, there might not be a single winner. Instead, we might just have to learn to live in a world that is split in two. The era of easy globalization is over. The era of competition has begun. Let's look closer at the specific industries that are caught in the middle. First, there is the world of social media and data. TikTok has become a major flashpoint. The U.S. is worried about who owns our data. They fear the Chinese government could use the app to spy on Americans. China calls this bullying and says the U.S. is just trying to stop a successful competitor. Then there is the pharmaceutical industry. Many of our medicines are made in China. If China stopped shipping these drugs, it could cause a health crisis in the U.S. This is why the U.S. is trying to bring medicine manufacturing back home. But it takes years and billions of dollars to build these factories. The same is true for the steel and aluminum industries. These are the building blocks of our world. And they are at the center of the fight. China controls about 80% of the world's rare earth minerals. These minerals are used in everything from iPhones to fighter jets. If China cuts off the supply, it would paralyze Western technology. This is the leverage that China has in this economic war. The U.S. is racing to find new sources of these minerals in places like Australia and Africa. It's a global scavenger hunt for the resources of the future. This brings us to the final part of our story, the human cost. Behind the numbers and the politics are real people whose lives are changing. Farmers in the American Midwest have seen their incomes drop as China buys less soy. Factory workers in Chinese cities are facing lower wages as companies move to cheaper countries. And consumers everywhere are paying more for the things they need. We are living through a historic shift in how the world works. The economic war between China and America is the defining story of our time. It's a story of power, money, and the future of our planet. As we move forward, one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same. Let's dive deeper into the history of the trade deficit. For years, the U.S. has bought much more from China than China has bought from the U.S. This gap is called a trade deficit. It has been a major point of anger for American politicians. They argue that this deficit means American wealth is flowing into China. But economists say it's more complicated. Americans get cheap goods, which keeps inflation low. And China uses those dollars to buy U.S. government debt. This means China actually helps fund the American government. It's a strange, circular relationship where both sides are stuck with each other. Breaking this bond would be painful for everyone involved. Now, let's look at the role of currency in this war. The U.S. has often accused China of keeping its currency, the yuan, artificially low. A low yuan makes Chinese exports cheaper and more attractive to foreign buyers. This is sometimes called currency manipulation. China says they are just managing their economy to keep it stable, but the U.S. sees it as a way to cheat the system. This has led to many arguments at global economic meetings. It's another layer of tension in an already difficult relationship. Finally, let's consider the impact on innovation. Competition can be good. It can force companies to work harder and invent new things. But if the world is split, we might lose the benefits of global cooperation. Scientists might not be able to share their research as easily, and that could slow down progress on things like curing diseases or stopping climate change. The stakes are high, not just for the U.S. and China, but for everyone. We must find a way to compete without destroying the systems that keep us safe. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the economic war of our time. Stay curious. Keep asking questions. The future is in our hands. Wait, we have more to cover. Let's talk about the South China Sea. This is one of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. Trillions of dollars in trade pass through here every year. China claims almost the entire sea as its own territory. The U.S. and its allies say the sea should be free for everyone to use. This has led to many close encounters between the two militaries. An accident here could spark a real war that no one wants. It's a reminder that economic competition and military tension are linked. Now let's look at the role of the Silicon Shield in Taiwan. Taiwan makes over 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips. This makes the island incredibly important to both the U.S. and China. China considers Taiwan to be a part of its territory. The U.S. has promised to help Taiwan defend itself. If a war broke out over Taiwan, the global chip supply would vanish overnight. This is why it's called the Silicon Shield. It's a deterrent for both sides. But as the U.S. and China build their own chip factories, that shield might weaken. It's a high-stakes game of chess, with the world's technology on the line. Finally, let's talk about the future of the dollar. The U.S. dollar is the world's main reserve currency. This gives the U.S. a lot of power. They can use sanctions to cut off countries from the global financial system. China and other countries want to change this. They want to use their own currencies for trade. This is called de-dollarization. If the dollar loses its status, the U.S. would lose a major source of its global influence. But for now, the dollar is still king. Most of the world still trusts it more than any other currency. The fight for the future of money is just beginning. We've covered a lot today, from trade and tech to security and money. The economic war between China and America is not just about two countries. It's about the future of the entire world. Let's look at one final aspect: the role of the World Bank and IMF. These organizations were built by the West after World War II. China feels they don't have enough say in how these groups are run. So they started their own version, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. This is another way China is building a world that doesn't depend on the U.S. The U.S. has discouraged its allies from joining China's new bank. But many have joined anyway, including the UK and Germany. It's a sign that even the closest allies of the U.S. are hedging their bets. The world is becoming multipolar. In this new world, the U.S. will have to learn to share power. And China will have to learn the responsibilities of being a global leader. The transition will be messy and full of conflict. But it is the reality of the 21st century. We've come to the end of our journey. Thank you for staying with us through this complex story. The economic war is just one part of a much larger change. It's a change that will define the lives of our children and grandchildren. We hope this video has helped you understand it a little better. Until next time, keep exploring and stay informed. Goodbye. Actually, let's look at the role of space exploration in this rivalry. Both the US and China are racing to put people back on the moon. China has its own space station and has landed a rover on the far side of the moon. The US is leading the Artemis program to build a base on the lunar surface. Space is not just about science. It's about prestige and military power. The country that controls space could control the world's communications. It's the ultimate high ground in the economic and military war. This race will push the limits of human technology. And it will cost hundreds of billions of dollars. But the rewards could be even greater. New minerals, new energy, and a new home for humanity. The economic war is truly universal. It's a journey that has only just begun. We are all part of this story. And we all have a role to play in how it ends. The future is not written yet. We must choose our path wisely. For the sake of our world. And for the sake of each other. This is the true challenge of our time. To find peace in a world of competition, to find hope in a world of conflict, and to build a better future for everyone. Thank you for watching. We will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.